Hello viewers, this is Fida Hussain and right now we are at Concordia. This is one of the most favorite destination of every tourist who want to come to see the K2 or Broad Peak. The K2 is the second highest peak in the world and Broad Peak is the 12th highest peak in the world. And also there's a lot of mountains which is G1 and G2 also above than 8,000 meters and along with these mountains many mountains are existing here like G1, G4, G5, G6, Balturukangadi, Snowdam, Chungulisa, Metra Peak. If you see behind me, there's Marble Peak. So a lot of peaks here. I can't name every peaks here. Payu Peak also from visible here. So therefore, every part of the world's tourists comes here every year to see this mountain. So that's why I'm saying this is the most favorite destination of the tourist who wants to visit Gilgit-Baltistan. So among them, one of the lady from Australia whose name is Lydia. Miss Lydia with us. We will talk to him about her journey. Thank you, Miss Lydia. What do you want to say about your experience while you were reaching here?
Well, I've had an extraordinary journey just from the beginning at my time at Skardu, which is where people fly to for the beginning of the trek, and I thought it was a very unique town. I've never been anywhere like it. The fruit trees, the apricot trees and cherries, and the natural bodies of water in the Upper Katura Lake where you can swim, and the different day trips you can do from Skardu. It was a very beautiful starting point for this journey. And also it wasn't as touristy as I was expecting in the way that Kathmandu is in Nepal. It was a very authentic place. And then the beginning of the trip, it was quite easy. We just got a jeep to Ascoli, and that's when the journey began. And there was some quite wild weather, I think, in the previous weeks that had broken some bridges, but that just added to the adventure because we crossed over the river. I don't know how to describe what it was, but in a little box. And it's been a real adventure holiday, in addition to being surrounded by sublime beauty. And every day has been quite, I think this is day 7, but every day has been quite different to every other day, and it's been an extraordinary adventure, and it hasn't been as difficult as I was expecting. As long as you walk slowly.
Were you expecting some difficulties?
Oh well, it's classified as a challenging trek. I don't think I would call it challenging. I think it's moderately difficult, but not really challenging because the ascents are not so steep.
So as for the challenge regard, so what the main challenge remains while you're traveling?
Well, you need a good level of strength and fitness. I'd say an intermediate level. Other than that, you need to have mental strength, that you don't have the regular comforts of a hotel. You're outside camping, and you're outside of your comfort zone, and you have to want to be outside of your comfort zone and appreciate that. No internet either.
So, is this your first visit here, or before you been here in Pakistan?
No, I've done a lot of travel, but it's my first visit to Pakistan.
How many countries you have visited?
Somewhere between around 55 to 65. It was 55 when I counted last.
So can you differentiate between those countries where you have already visited and this area?
Of the countries I've travelled to, it's culturally it's most similar to my time in Iran, because the hospitality and kindness of the people is very similar to what I experienced in Iran. The landscape is very unique. I haven't been to a landscape like this. I've been to the Himalayas in Nepal, but this is totally different.
Okay, in Iran, is it possible to travel in this dress like any open hair and openly?
This is much more relaxed for tourism than Iran, and much less, especially for women. But both countries have felt safe to me. The difference is that the dress code, there isn't an enforced dress code in Pakistan for women. Whereas there is in Iran. But yes, I haven't travelled enough in Pakistan to make the full comparisons, but both countries have felt safe, but there is more freedom for women, I think, in this country.
So what you heard about Pakistan, and what was the reality here you found?
Well, the image in the Western media is terrible, of course. When you tell people you're going to Pakistan, they gasp and they think that's a very scary thing. And it seems like it doesn't matter how many years have passed since September 11 and since the instability of that period, that the public image in the West, the image is very slow to catch up with the reality. But people who have done a lot of travel will always know that you can't base your expectations of a country from the media.
What do you think, how that image can be changed in Western media as well?
Very difficult. It can be changed within the tourism industry. Yes. That's the easiest part. That's the easiest way to change it, because people always want to experience the best. And northern Pakistan has the best mountain scenery in the world. So when people have the desire for that, then they will be willing to question their fears. So I think in the tourism industry, it can easily be challenged through, marketing, or through hearing about the experiences of other tourists. But if you're talking about Pakistan as a country in general and the politics, it's very difficult because of the political instability that you see in the media to change opinions. Okay. For that to happen, that would be part of a larger dialogue that involves, there's also about Islam, because it involves anti-Islamic Islamophobia.
Okay, let's come to your journey. But if I ask you, what is the main fascinating thing for you here in the region, especially in Baltur Glacier?
What's the most fascinating thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it's overwhelming beauty. Like you're just carried away to another world, and you feel like you are experiencing the very best of this planet. It doesn't really, it's a pinnacle experience. It doesn't really get better. So it's total immersion and elevation of the spirit.
While you were applying for visa to trek here, so what was the embassy's response here from Australia?
It wasn't really about the embassy in Australia, because we did it online.
Pakistan embassy, I mean.
We did it all. It was done electronically. So you submitted some forms electronically on a website in Pakistan. There wasn't a direct involvement with the embassy or consulate in Australia. It was directly through Pakistan.
Okay.
It was, the application itself was quite straightforward. It just took a long time to get approved. That's all. But it was easy.
So how much time took to get visa?
About 8 weeks, when it was meant to only be 4 weeks, because apparently they were dealing with a backlog of visas from Afghan refugees. That's why.
So I didn't get your point again.
It took about double the time that it would apparently normally take, because the visa office was overwhelmed with applications for different types of visas, for refugee visas from people from Afghanistan. That's what I was told.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot questions. If we ask the hurdles, talk about the hurdles. What was the hurdles did you face while you traveling?
There haven't been really any hurdles. The only, not stressful, but the only issue really is about weather. That because it's a natural environment, if the weather is wild and unstable, then it would obviously have an effect on the trip. So, but I haven't really faced hurdles so far.
Okay.
It's been quite smooth.
If I ask another question about the sanitation system, are you satisfied about the sanitation system here?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Why are you not satisfied? If
Well,
you're not?
I don't know what. There has to be toilets. They have to install toilets at every single website and along the path the whole way, because, I mean, this amount of toileting, it's excessive, and it forces you to think about that the whole trip. So there has to be more toilets. There's also too much litter. They have to do what they did in the Everest region, which is employ people to just walk down the path and picking it up, and they will have to install more rubbish bins.
Okay.
So yeah, that part hasn't been the best. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been that good.
Any message who want to travel here, if you have?
Well, for my interest, don't come because I want it for myself. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason to be afraid of Pakistan. It's no more dangerous than any other country in the world, and maybe even less so because people are very friendly. And I think if you're interested in seeing the best in life, then of course you would come. It's obvious.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, viewers. You must listen. You may listen, and the authorities about the must pay attention towards the sanitation system, because this is the way that the more tourists attract here, and we excitedly waiting for your feedback. And I must say that you must do subscribe our channel, Voice of Karakoram. We will bring you a lot of interviews. Thank you very much, Fida Hussain.